This week, we're looking at those sneaky little projects that masquerade as tasks, which leads us to procrastination. My name is Pullein and welcome to another episode of my Working with Todoist series. Today, we're looking at these really malicious, horrible, evil tasks that sit in our Todoist and we just keep procrastinating and pushing it off and pushing them off because whether we are aware of it or not, we just don't know where to start. And most of these tasks are actually projects masquerading as tasks. And today I want to show you what you can do to be able to break these down so that you are much clearer on what needs to happen. So before we go any further, I would just like to say if you do get any value from this video, then please help me by clicking on that like button below. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet and you want to get all the latest tips and tricks on using Todoist, then please subscribe to my channel. Okay, let's go into my demo account now and let's start looking at some of these evil little tasks that are really projects.
Okay, so what I've done is I've listed out some regular kind of tasks that are the kind of projects that hide in amongst your regular tasks. Now, let's get started with that first one, redesign website. I know for a fact that something like this is not an easy single task. There is a lot of work to do. Now, to be fair, when you're grabbing stuff like this and throwing it into your website, this might just be an idea that you want to do, redesign website. But when it comes to processing my inbox, I can assure you that if you have a task like redesign website, it's not a single task. What I would do in this instance is I would immediately open up my notes app, go to my project section. I'm going to create a new folder, and I'm just going to call it website redesign. And really, that's all I would do at this stage. Because this is a project, it's not a task. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drag that down into my projects here. So that's now in my projects. And I'm just going to put in website redesign. And I'm just going to put a deadline date because I really need to know what my deadline date for this is. I'm going to say 30th of November and 2022. And that's really all I would do at this stage because now I've got a project, something that I can review when I do my weekly planning. Now, I'm guessing that the first thing I'm going to be doing, so I'm just going to change this task into an actual task. So what do I want to redesign? Now, there's a problem here. I haven't given a verb, so I'm just going to go decide what I want to redesign because I need a verb in there because a verb makes it very clear. So decide what I want to redesign on my website. So on my website. Now I have a task. Now all I have to do is decide where does that go. Now I'm thinking this is a deadline of 30th of November, so I'm just going to change that to October. So let's say, I'm going to move that to next month. I don't really need to start worrying about it. I've made a decision and I'm just going to leave it at that because I know September is very busy. Hire virtual assistant. Now, this is just to give you a little bit more detail on this. I know hiring a virtual assistant isn't as simple as just going to a website, picking somebody and saying, will you work for me? This is going to be a project as well. So what I'm going to be doing is I've actually listed out a note already. So VA requirements. So deadline date, I've got the 1st of November. I've written out some brainstorming ideas. So what are the requirements of a VA? So they must be able to use Todoist, of course, be able to do Photoshop skills, Google Docs and Sheets, proficient, fluent in English and familiar with social media marketing. I've collected a website where I can go and maybe have a look at the kind of candidates I might be able to find. And what I usually do is I would list out, like brainstorm, what I would call the next actions. Now, let's say here, finalize list of requirements is actually what I really want to be doing next. So I'm just going to copy that and I'm going to change this into the task that it really should be, which is finalize list of requirements. And I'm just going to make sure it's a bit clearer. So VA. Now, this is probably something I want to spend a bit of time, like a slow moving project. I'm going to change that to, so save that. And I'm going to change that to this week because I really want to get that done. As soon as I add something to my this week, I need to add a date. I'm thinking, well, I know that Wednesday is going to be a reasonably free day. I already know there's only one task due in there, so I'm just going to add it for Wednesday. And that's something I'm going to do in the afternoon. That's it. That's what I decide. Now, for those of you who don't know, the way I use flags is P1 are the tasks that must be done that day. P2 are morning tasks, P3 are afternoon tasks, and P4 are tasks that just need to be done at some point. So now that's done. That's been processed. Write new management structure. Here's another one. Management structures are never easy to write. Again, this would be, I'd just create a project for that straight up. And then what is the next step? So what is the next step with something like this? Finalize list for new restructure, something like that. So now I know that that is a single task. And I don't know how long that will take me, but at least it's not a complete project. And then I can just decide again, when am I going to do that? So I'm probably going to do that next week. So I'll just put it in there. Anything in next week, I don't add a due date. Book flights to Jamaica. This is another one of those things where maybe this could be a task. It might already be a project in your project list, and this might very well be the next step. I need to book the flights. But perhaps you've decided, okay, I'm going to Jamaica. What's the first thing I need to do? Oh, I need to book the flights. Well, maybe you also need to think about accommodation, the dates that you're flying, when are you coming back. That could very easily be a project in Todoist that just needs, a task in Todoist that just needs doing. New profile pictures for social media. This is another one of those ones where, well, actually something like this to me is a project itself, but I'm actually going to create subtasks. So book appointment with photographer. And that one's going to have a date. And I think, okay, this is now getting urgent. So I'm going to do that on Tuesday. And it's going to be this week. Oops, I need to put this into this week. And yep, I haven't changed my keyboard yet this week. And that's really about it. I don't know exactly when in Tuesday I'm going to do it, but it's quite an easy one to do. So I'm just going to add that task. And that's now been added as a subtask. So all I'm going to do now is profile pictures, new profile pictures for social media is the project, but it's a mini project. So I've got a subtask in there. So that's going to be done and it's already dated. So I know that that's going to be for next week. So I'm just going to move that. Sorry, this week. So it's going into there. Book flights to Jamaica, we've already done. Record podcast. Now, if you're like me and you're already doing a podcast, that would probably be in your areas of focus, recurring areas of focus, because it's something you just do every week or every month. But if you're new and this is the first episode of your podcast, maybe this is going to be in your projects first and it needs to come, what's the very next step? So this could be, I need to write the script. So that's going to be a project in itself. Organized company retreat to Phuket. This is definitely something, it's a project and I don't even really need to think about that. So again, I would just create the new folder, company. You can see I can never spell. Company retreat 2022. And that's going to go into my projects. So I've created that folder. And it's going to go into my projects because that's what it's going to be. And again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a single note and company retreat, because this would be the master note if you like. And I'm just going to say a date. Again, I usually start off with the date, and that's going to be the 25th of September. So that's going in there, 2022. And then I just need to think of what's the next action. Well, something like this, the next action is going to be brainstorm ideas. So brainstorm ideas for retreat in Phuket. Again, when am I going to do this? Well, this is getting quite close now, so I need to add a due date. So this is going to be next week. So I'm going to put next week. I'm going to add a due date. I'm going to need to do that on Tuesday. So I'm just going to add the date Tuesday. Again, I'm not going to decide on the flags just yet. Brainstorming ideas needs about, I can be sitting outside in the sunshine just with my iPad and just writing down ideas into notes. So that's something that I can leave, but I now know it's there. So that's essentially what we're doing. You're going to be very careful with these tasks because they do sneak up on you, and sometimes they're projects. And when I see some of the record podcasts going, oh, what do I have to do next? Oh, and then you just leave it and you'll do the low hanging fruit. So be very, very clear about what a project is. What do these mean at a task level? So I hope you found this useful. Thank you so much for watching the episode, and it just remains for me now to wish you all a very, very productive week.
Hello, thank you very much for watching my videos. Now I have something exciting to tell you about. Recently I have developed a brand new time management system. It's a system designed to manage your time in the 21st century. The world has changed a lot over the last 20 years. In fact, it's actually changed a lot this year. And what we need now is a system, a time management system that is very easy to use, easy to maintain, so that you can spend more of your time doing the work. And that's what the time sector system is all about. It's going to change your whole belief system about the way a time management system should work, because this focuses on when you are going to do the task. And let's be honest, it doesn't matter how motivated, inspired, or how urgent something is. If you don't have time to do it, it is never going to get done. And that's what this system is built around, getting your work done, so you can spend more of your time doing the things that you want to do. I hope you join me in this course. The full details of the course are in the show notes below, so please join me, and thank you very much for watching this brief video.